Hi, I'm Mary, and if you're interested in learning more about gardening, home decor, holiday decorating, and crafts, maybe even a little bit of cooking, I suggest you subscribe to my channel. And I welcome all of my old subscribers back as well. This morning, we are going to be taking a tour of my container gardens. And we're going to be looking at those in my backyard and over on my front porch as well. So I have a lot of shady areas in my garden, and I do have to plant accordingly and choose many plants that do well in the shade. So I'll be showing those to you, of course, during the tour. Let's go ahead and get started on our little stroll. Let's enter the fairy garden area of my backyard. And here we have a cute little pinwheel for my grandsons. And over here we have a rather large fairy taking a nap. And of course, you know, my fairy garden certainly includes many little dinosaurs. Here's a Japanese painted fern. Over here on the little child's bench, we have a potted plant with some dragonwing begonias, and I think this coleus is called redhead. And then we have a little dinosaur here, a plant eater, and a meat eater over here, the red one. And in my little white trike, I have another begonia with some English ivy. In this area, I have 3 pretty hostas, and you can see I have some hail damage on one of them. A little gnome, and oh, one of those spitter dinosaurs, I forget what their name is. And as you can see, the English ivy that I planted earlier this summer has grown quite nicely in this little triceratops planter. Here is another gnome and a little mushroom. And then here we have the fairy garden that I planted earlier this summer that you saw in a video. And we have a little gate to enter the garden. And we have some little boy fairies. There's one that is trying to fish. He's actually caught a fish. A little castle there in the background, and you can see my polka dot plants, the coleus, and the creeping veronica that I planted in here are all doing well and have grown larger, but you can still see the dinosaurs hanging out in the area. There's actually one over here that you can barely see. There he is, peeking out, showing his teeth. And here's my T-Rex with English ivy growing in him as well. And then I also, well, we have another little gnome here. And I planted this pretty heuchera on this side of the garden. And then back here you see another pot with begonia and some greenish colored coleus. And then in this other pot right here, we have another little house with a fairy prince and a nice big dinosaur joining him. So the lily of the valley is very slowly coming around and spreading a little bit. And my goal is for it to eventually fill the pot up. Here's an overall view of my fairy garden space. It has been a big hit with my little grandsons this summer. A nice little hangout place where they can play with the dinosaurs. For those of you who were interested in seeing how my tree stump planter did over the course of the summer, here I want to share with you my dragonwing begonias, which are just so pretty with these deep pink blossoms. And then I have a lime green coleus there in the back. And My English ivy is cascading down the side of the stump, which adds such a pretty look to it. Walking over to this area here underneath my snow crab apple, you can see this really cute container that I did, and I used an old bird bath where the bowl of the bird bath had cracked. I bought a plastic underdish here that's brown colored, you can see, and I drilled holes in the bottom so that I had drainage. And then I added this turquoise pot from Home Depot to raise up my dragon wing begonia here. And I planted coleus all around. You see I have different colors of coleus here growing. And isn't that a cute little planter? I really do enjoy this sort of composition, I guess you might say. And then right next to it I have a whiskey barrel, and in this barrel I placed that's a spike. It's a type of Dracaena that grows or can grow outdoors. And I have more of this dragon wing begonia because, guys, I am not kidding. If you're looking for a shady area plant that flowers all summer beautifully, it is this dragon wing begonia. I forgot the name of this particular sweet potato vine, but I'll look it up and flash it up on the screen for you in case you're interested in that. But I really am enjoying these two containers that are close together underneath my snow crab. Another container I'm just really thrilled with this season is this large pot here, in which I planted a black-eyed Susan vine, and I have some blue salvia, some supertunias here, this bright fuchsia color. Isn't that lovely? And I did plant a small bacopa, actually two of them. You can see there's one white bloom right there. But, you know, bacopa is kind of finicky, and it will bloom, and then it will stop, and then it will rebloom. So it's not a constant bloomer like these blue salvias or the petunias. And the sweet potato vine has just been going to town all summer. Look at these cute little blooms. Aren't they darling? I simply love them. In this area here by this large pot with my black-eyed Susan vine, I have some lovely Shasta daisies. Of course, all of my irises are long past their bloom time. And in this pot right here, I've planted just blue salvia. Isn't it lovely? And this blue salvia, although it's an annual, when it starts blooming, it just blooms all summer long pretty much. Now this Marguerite daisy is one that was offered by the company called Proven Winners, and I highly recommend them for your container gardens because they produce plants that are very robust bloomers. And this Marguerite daisy has just bloomed like crazy all summer long. It's just lovely and gorgeous. Isn't it so pretty? Now here is a look at this pedestal container that I have on my front porch. And over there is the hanging planter that you saw me demonstrate planting in earlier. We're having a little thunder in the background, you might be able to hear. This planter here has turned out very nicely. The coleus just has gone to town. I really, really like it. And I do have to say that my Terrenia here, as you can see, has stopped blooming. And I'm not exactly sure why. We did have plenty of blooms earlier in the season, but right now it has stopped. And in this pot, on this cute little table that I got at a garage sale, this one has a very healthy asparagus fern in it and some pothos that I rooted, and it's finally growing new leaves and really getting settled into that pot and looking very nice. I have a nice couple of coleus here in this basket, which is a pot as well. And then talking to you about this planter here. You might remember if you saw my earlier video about planting with cocoa fiber liners. I used a couple of my grandson's diapers in the bottom of the cocoa fiber liner to try to cut back on the amount of brown dirty water that was falling right here on my porch railing. And I have to say it cut down significantly. I had a little bit of a mess, but nothing like last year. So if you recall, I actually planted coleus in here and I did a fuchsia. And my fuchsia, well, it simply didn't do well at all. I believe that it got just too much sunlight. And maybe fuchsia just can't take any strong sun at all. So since the fuchsia got burnt to a crisp in this location, I added, you know, this really pretty coleus. I have a couple of varieties here. You can see how pretty the leaves are. And if we come around here, this is a lime green coleus. And then finally, on this side here is a gorgeous purple Terrenia. And you know, Terrenia has the common name of wishbone flower, if you're familiar with that. But it is a very nice shade plant. It can take some sun, but blooms well in the shade. So in this case, this plant has done well in this location. I'll definitely use it again next year. So that's the result of my pot, my hanging pot, and my report on how well the diapers did. Let's walk up the steps to my shabby chic porch. I know I did a video on this earlier in the spring, but I wanted to show you how things are coming along. I have this super pretty fuchsia plant here with these gorgeous blooms. Aren't they just lovely? And in this spot, the fuchsia did well. And of course I have some wandering Jew in my pots this year that I potted in my house from cuttings. And so this pot has turned out quite lovely. And up on this pedestal, I have a type of Supertunia. It does have fuchsia in the name, I know, with those dark, pretty pink flowers. My Boston ferns are doing quite well still, very healthy. And then over here on my little bistro table, I have some of these cute little petunias. And swinging over here, we have some more pots, and I really enjoy my vintage sign here. Turning around to this side of my porch, I have a new garden rules sign. Butterflies and buzzing bees. Isn't that cute? And then, of course, I have my little I don't know what you would call this little stand, kind of like a bookcase, cubbies. And here I have another cute sign in this house. We love till the cows come home. Isn't that sweet? Here's an old garden hat of mine that I hung above the sign. We have more plants over here, Wandering Jew and a Rex begonia with these beautiful silvery green leaves. And then another Rex begonia here with the red tones. And we have a, oh my goodness, it's not a fern. I think I made this mistake in my last video of my porch. I'm gonna shine up here the name of this plant. It's a tropical plant, as you can see. On my little sort of sofa, we have some very vintage and colorful, happy, especially using pinks and purples for this shabby look for my guest. And down here on the coffee table, I have a cute vintage bird cage, and it has a succulent inside. Over here, I have another Boston fern and a really lovely pot. This is the pot that I spray painted purple in my garage sale Trash to Treasure video. Another little sign, Fresh Flower Market, in this little trunk that I got from At Home. Really nice, with a few little plants in it, English ivy and another begonia, a little birdie. And here is another Terenia that has purple and white flowers on it. Over here is the last pot on my porch with dragonwing begonias, coleus, and English ivy. It makes a really nice composition, I think. So here's an overview of my shabby chic porch. It's very comfy when I have guests over and family. We have a good time out here. Good conversation and lots of fun times together. Well guys, it is late in August and I know summer is drawing to a close, very sadly, but I hope you got a few ideas for your container gardens for next summer. You know, every spring brings a new chance for beauty in your yard. So I hope you're all doing well. Thank you so much for stopping by my channel, and I'll see you in the next one.